whatever it might be, we'll have online students also. It will reach many aspirants. So today, from the past 1 week, we are having these strategy sessions on different subjects. Today it would be amalgamation of all these subjects. Obviously it is an orientation session on the current affairs. Okay, so there might be aspirants here who are new to the preparation, who are already into the preparation, keeping them into context. So we'll go through initially how to approach current affairs for this exam, so that today the questions, nearly 50 to 60 questions of different sorts, can be solved using current affairs. It has two dimensions. If I say 50 to 60 questions can be solved and current affairs are useful in solving these 50 to 60 questions, one dimension of that is pure current affairs questions which are on different themes. Purely they are based on some specific themes related to current affairs. On the other hand, there is this current affairs plus static component, static connect. These sort of questions also we get more in number. It is not that pure current affairs, purely current affairs based themes. I have identified some 7 to 8 themes related to current affairs. We'll go through them in a short while. So besides the pure sort of current affairs themes, we also have this dimension of current affairs plus static portion being asked. Like what? For example, statement sort of questions. We get a lot of statement kind of questions. Let us say 1, 2, 3. In these statements, one statement or two statements might be current affairs related. One statement might be static component related to the subject we learn. Okay. Even subjects related to history, where the current affairs and the static connection is very broader. I mean, there's a lot of, the connection is not very easy to establish. One example you can take is Dholavira. A question on Dholavira was asked regarding Government of India's identification of UNESCO sites. Like that, on those aspects also, on those dimensions also, history as a subject, obviously we have this sort of questions where current affairs plus static connect is very well maintained. And that is the reason why I'm telling you 50 to 60 questions, importance of 50 to 60 questions with respect to current affairs dimension. On the one hand, we have this pure, on the other hand, static plus current affairs dimension. So first we will go through this. What are the themes that we need to identify? And based on how we approach the current affairs, different aspirants have different approaches to current affairs. We will try to segregate them and we will arrive at one understanding today. For example, if I take this theme, if I take this first theme with reference to 2023 preliminary examination, this theme you can observe here, I have taken science and technology is the theme here. In the current context, from science and technology, questions are related to this connection between science and technology or intersection between science and technology and environment and ecology. Specifically in environment, the questions related to new and renewable energy is the context. Okay, if you observe 2023 question, science and technology, and in that renewable energy portion was asked as question, and this can be considered as one theme in science and technology which is getting repeated again and again. So today what we are going to do is we'll find out some questions where examiner, UPSC examiner is trying to repeat from the same themes in one or the other manner. So one theme that we come across is energy sector, new and renewable energy resources. For example, the question was on green hydrogen. National Green Hydrogen Mission was there. India is trying to take lot of steps, initiate lot of measures for capitalizing on green hydrogen sector. Okay. So this is the question, and you can observe what are the statements being asked while going through the newspaper, how to approach the content. For example, if you observe here, it can be used directly as a fuel for internal combustion. So what was the statement about? Use of green hydrogen. Second statement, look at second statement, it can be blended with natural gas and used as a fuel for heating power generation. What is the consequence of using this? How to use this? This is where it can be used. How to use this is a second dimension. Next, it can be used in the hydrogen fuel cell run vehicles. Ultimate use that we want to achieve would be this. So while going through the newspaper, what we should learn whenever a new energy sector or new kind of energies we coming across that kind of new energy, what is the use of that energy? What is the end goal of initiating a mission for that? So this is how we should approach the content that is appearing, or we are coming across the content whenever we come across the content in the newspaper. Okay, so use basis, what is the end use? How government is approaching the initiative. So this is one sort of, you can find this is one theme that we can observe regarding the energy sector in India. Second, coming to the second theme, you can observe here in the science and technology, the one dimension that is repeatedly asking is the arms and ammunition of India, that is missiles. Missiles are continuously being asked. If you can observe core area of science and technology, ballistic missiles and how they function, basics of ballistic missiles. As an UPSC aspirant, it is necessary that you should have a basic idea of what are these ICBMs, how they function, very fundamental, very foundational or fundamental knowledge regarding these aspects you should have. So ballistic missiles are jet propelled. The definition of ballistic missiles is given, and Agni 5 is exemplified, and he was asking a question on that. So that is how both the static component and what was in use was asked. Two dimensions are mentioned here. So obviously arms and ammunition of India, if at all you are coming across any new dimension regarding arms and ammunition of India, if you go to the previous questions of 22, 21, 20 like that, this theme is getting repeated continuously. Arms and ammunition, specifically ballistic missile. Let me show other question also related to the same theme. For example, this question was asked before. Agni 4 missile. Now you observe what is the theme examiner is picking up on. That is missiles that India, missile capabilities of India. Agni 4 was one question that we are having in 2014. So what can we infer from this? Obviously, themes get repeated. There is no guarantee that it will be coming this year. But as an aspirant, we should be alert whenever any kind of new arms and ammunition is coming in news. Other aspect, if you observe other dimension, now UPSC is focusing on administrative aspects of armed forces. This was a question in 2024 where UPSC has asked about administrative dimension. Before that also in 2023, it was asking one question on administrative dimension. So in 2023, if at all you are a serious aspirant, you might have picked up on the administrative dimension of army, and this has been news continuously because Indian administration is trying to reorganize the armed forces. Okay, if you can observe here, has given army and air force and navy comparison. That was the sort of question. Administration in armed forces was the dimension here. So this is one theme that we can pick up in specifically science and technology. Although we have this intersection between science and technology and civilian administration here, so you have to take that into context, army administration. Next is exercises. Besides that, let us go through another question on the same theme, administration in army. If you can observe 2023, we have this chief of defense staff. At that point of time, it was in continuous news due to death of chief of defense staff of India. So UPSC is rightfully taking this opportunity to ask questions on, it is not even leaving administrative dimensions of army and navy when it comes to defense sector. Now other dimension of science and technology related to defense is, it is asking military exercises continuously. If you go through PYQs of UPSC, because PYQs give us the insights so that we can broaden the horizons of our knowledge and infer a lot of things from the PYQs. One that dimension is exercises, military exercises that it has been focusing on. Exercise Mitra Shakti was asked, and it was in 2024, it was asking this question. Mitra Shakti was an example. Military exercises, you can say, other exercises, lot of other military exercises were also asked. In the same science and technology, how to approach, because a lot of information is available in magazines and newspapers. How to eliminate content and focus on those areas. And we have to arrive at a framework without which it is not possible to solve this issue of finding lot of content in current affairs. We try to read everything, every part of this current affairs, and finally we don't get anything in return. So only way is to obviously approach the newspaper, or we will discuss how to approach newspaper, or whether we will discuss the strategies also. So we have to bring that to one framework. So other dimension that UPSC is asking in science and technology is important concepts that are appearing in the newspaper. terminology and concept. The concept that was in use at that point of time, aerial metagenomics. Is it innovative? Is it new to us? Yes, obviously. We know about DNA, genes and everything, genome engineering and everything, genetic engineering, genome program, everything we know. Whereas the terminology, the term that was appearing regularly in the newspaper at that point of time, aerial metagenomics was the term has been appearing in the newspaper, and he has right away asked a question on this terminology. So science and technology and terminology, intersection between new terms and terminology. The same can be observed in this question, microsatellite DNA. Similar to eDNA, we have microsatellite DNA, and he has asked a question on that. Terminology in science and technology. This is another theme that you can focus on whenever we take this science and technology. Other example where we can continuously prove that UPSC examiner is interested in asking terminologies from science and technologies. It was in news continuously. Wolbachia method regarding the spread of diseases by mosquitoes, how to neutralize these mosquitoes so that vector-borne diseases can be reduced, was another dimension. This term was continuously in use. He has rightly picked up that term and gave us a question. Okay. So other dimension that we have completed, the dimension that we have discussed until now, which is related to science and technology. In addition, other dimension which is getting repeated continuously, purely with respect to current affairs. I am not talking about that intersection between static and current affairs here. Whatever we are delineating here as theme-based approach, it is related to pure current affairs. Okay. So second dimension of that is schemes, welfare schemes that Government of India is implementing in diverse multiple sectors of economic development. Like we had one scheme related to Anemia Mukt Bharat. It was in news continuously. It was part of magazines. So it was part of this buzz regarding government's approach towards nutritional security. Anemia Mukt Bharat was one such initiative government came up with, and a question was asked, 4 statement sort of question. And 2024, you observe the options are also critical, were made difficult. 4 statement, and you have to understand what to read from the statements he is asking. For example, if I go through this question, it provides prophylactic lactic calcium supplementation. So what is the use of this particular scheme? What it is providing? That is what we need basically. Second is regarding what a campaign it is running. Basic elements. We have 5 to 6 basic dimensions of every scheme. So if we know those basic 5 to 6 elements, obviously these sort of questions can become easy for us while we are going through them. Okay. Next, other scheme you can observe in order to prove that schemes are in the interest of the examiner. Pradhan Mantri Shyamayoghi Mandhan, which was continuously in the news before 2023-24. This was also asked. You can observe what he is asking about this scheme's provisions. 4 or 5 provisions we have for this scheme, which have high value. Those 4 or 5 provisions he was asking. He was not going beyond these provisions. He was simply asking high value, important provisions which are part of these initiatives. Okay. Right. Next, coming to another scheme. Now it has to be established. It has to be kept in your mind that obviously one theme that we are getting continuously questions on is definitely schemes and initiatives. Here the scheme is on Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. This was way back before 2022 also. He was asking such kind of questions. So I hope you go through this, at least you go through the major provisions of every scheme that you are coming across while going to the newspaper or other sources. Next theme that we are coming across, the questions are coming from places in news, important places in news. Important places in news, it has a lot of intersections with what? International relations, current events of international importance. So the areas of conflict was mentioned and a question was asked. Places in news, obviously in other exams also, places in news sort of questions, and UPSC gives huge importance for map based questions or places in conflict. Continuously it has been asking questions, whether it is Israel-Palestine conflict or the regions in Africa, it has been continuously asking, or Syria or Ukraine conflict. Whatever might be the reason, places in news and mainly conflicting zones, conflicting territories are of the interest of the examiner. Next, he has asked a question last year, specifically with respect to India, regarding cocoa producing nations. which of the following are well known as two largest cocoa producers in the world? At that point of time, India had made some agreements with these nations and they were in news continuously. Our vice presidents were also visiting these nations. They were in news. How to find out? They will be asked, obviously. There is certain sort of importance for those nations which are producing highest percentage of cocoa. Okay? So that is how you have to eliminate other unimportant aspects and you should arrive at the answer. Cote d'Ivoire and other Ghana are the major producers. Now we can also prove that. Other examples. What were the themes he was asking? Conflicting areas of UPSC's interest. As an aspirant, definitely, obviously you should know the areas which were in conflict. It can be substantiated from the same themes he has repeating continuously for many years. We don't need much more insights on this. We have to fix in our mind. One framework has to be fixed and we have to blindly go through that. Okay? Next. You can take other example. 11th was asked. ISIS was the theme and 11th. What is 11th was asked. Okay, Islamic State for Iran and 11th, ISIS or ISIL was the theme, and what was 11th was the question UPSC was asking. So that was related to conflicting zones. Next theme that we come across, very, very important, highly, many questions we get from this theme, international organizations. Okay. UPSC went to the extent of asking questions which are unimportant. Some important organizations, although they are not important in the context of economic development or international relations. One example we can take is World Toilet Organization. It was asking last year. Example of that is G20. One such example of international organizations was G20. Another theme now we are discussing. So global groupings, multilateral organizations are of importance for the examiner. What he is asking in the statements, if you can observe, G20, what is it? That was the theme in the statement 1. Second statement, one of the initiatives of that institution he was asking. Similar themes, sub-themes you can continuously, they keep on appearing, you can observe them. Next question he was asking, last year, India and India's interaction with this International Grains Council. That was a theme. And he has asked right away, what is this Grains Council? Whether India is part of that or not. What is the reason why this Grains Council was introduced? So what is the reason why they are introduced? Whether India is part of that organization. Any important initiative that organization is coming up with. These are the 3 dimensions he has been focusing on. Grains Council is an example of that. Next you can take this World Toilet Organization he was asking. Okay. He's asking, what is the theme here in the statement 1? Whether it is part of United Nations. What is the reason why it is established? Obviously. The third sub-theme, sub-statement you can observe, main focus. What is the main focus of this organization? Second statement you can observe, what is the reason why it is in news continuously? Although this organization, we know that it is not of much importance, but why is it in news continuously? That was the statement 2. Okay. So like that he has been focusing on international organization, global groupings continuously. Other thing, he has been asking questions on United Nations body. Also United Nations bodies like United Nations adopting some kind of compact on internal migration. That was another theme. If at all United Nations is coming up with any sort of initiatives, that also becomes important for our understanding. Okay. That is one of the themes. That is international organizations. Next theme we come across continuously, India's relationship with other nations. Is there any meaningful initiative that we have come across in the newspaper with respect to India's relationship with various other nations? Okay, like Israel has established diplomatic relations with some Arab states. How India is interested in this India-Israel relationship. What is this Arab Peace Initiative? It was in news continuously. We should not ignore this dimension. So international events of importance, global importance, and where India is also involved. India's national interest is also involved. In that context, this question was given. So international relations topics, obviously they recur continuously. Other aspect you can observe here, the relationship between USA and EU was asked. European Union and USA, a trade council has been launched and it is of global importance, current events of international importance. Another question another theme that we continuously get, obviously environment. Any new initiative related to an environment, obviously was asking questions. What are such initiatives that we are coming across? recently. Carbon border adjustment mechanism, you might have come across that. Continuously was asking about markets. It means he is asking in environment specifically solutions to climate change. What are the solutions? Solutions is the theme here. What are the initiatives or solutions you can come up with? Okay. Globally, what are the initiatives we are taking? Carbon markets is one such initiative. We continuously focused on. Other aspect is India has come up with its own carbon market. That was the reason why he was focusing on the basic concept of carbon markets, how they function. He has given two statement kind of question. So how they function, how the carbon credits are exchanged was the question. So environment, one theme is climate change solutions. Other aspect is related to pollution. Other aspect related to is pollution, and here it is, the dimension is plastic pollution. Plastic pollution continuously has been asking on plastic. He is interested in plastic. Regularly has been asking questions on plastic pollution. Single use plastic, polyfluoroalkyl substances which are related to plastic. So plastic is of importance whenever any new technology is emerging, or if at all India is coming up with any meaningful initiative, then it is of importance for us. So he is asking about what he is asking here. He is asking about the concept. He is asking about what is the use of this. With this innovation, what is the consequence? How it is useful for the world. Okay. In that dimension, you have to approach the content. It is not that we have to amass all the content. It is not necessary. You have the theme. UPSC is guiding us to focus on those aspects only. It is unnecessary to focus other aspects specifically for preliminary examination. Okay. Next, economy questions. Economy questions, obviously there is no wider gap between current affairs we learn and the concepts we learn in economy. It is very narrower. Whatever we learn, obviously we get to see that in the newspaper on a regular basis, daily basis. The question is on post-pandemic recovery, how India has recovered, other nations have recovered, how central banks have played an important role. Obviously economy is related to, mostly it is current affairs. Next question you can come across is obviously digital rupee. So digital currencies, digital rupee came into existence, and right away a question on digital rupee. Obviously predictability in economy specifically related to some concepts which are appearing regularly in the newspaper. It is possible to predict them from these kind of subjects. E-Rupee was one concept. Okay. And before that UPSC was asking a question on what? The cryptocurrencies, regulation of cryptocurrencies. Like that theme is, if at all any new initiative related to money. Money is the concept here. How money is regulated, new forms of money, digital money is one concept. That was why he is asking. Next, agriculture sector. One question I have taken, which is agriculture sector of repetitive in nature, and agriculture technology, that is another dimension in science and technology. That is why I told I am not exploring all the PYQs. I am just giving themes. Okay. Here agriculture sector of India and China was compared regarding net cultivable area. Okay, net sown area or cultivable area, and which is greater is asked. We are asked to identify which nation is having more intensity of production and cultivable area also. Like that comparison is happening now. Agriculture sector average productivity per hectare is also being asked as questions. Next, you can also take sports. Next is sports. Obviously starting from the year 2021, sports should not be overlooked. UPSC has been asking questions on sports. Any major events in sports, any major event. For example, this was a major event in 2022, 44th Chess Olympiad 2022. What has happened in that, and what are the consequences? Who has won in the Olympiad? Those were the questions. In 2022, again, if you remember, there was a question on World Test Championship. Like that, since 2021, UPSC has revived that trend of asking major events related to sports. Okay. So our focus should be on major events of sports. Obviously we will be getting at least 4 to 6 marks. Obviously if we focus on sports dimension of learning through the PYQs. Okay. Next example, next polity. From polity, what we should get, what is the inference from polity? Any new law, anything, any new perspective. So Nari Shakti Vandan bill was, at that point of time, it was in news continuously, and he has asked a question on Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan. Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan was the initiative, and law. Law is the dimension here. Any new law, any legal aspect which is in news continuously, obviously is throwing questions at us on these dimensions like laws. Any new law? What are the provisions of law? All these questions are being asked. With respect to infrastructure, other theme we have is infrastructure. Infrastructure was part and parcel of UPSC's theme-based questions since 2010 itself. But between some 2014 to 17, focus on infrastructure was reduced. Again, starting from 2021, UPSC's focus on infrastructure again revived. One such question where we can prove that UPSC's focus on infrastructure has been gaining momentum again is this question where India has come up with a lot of infrastructure development initiatives, and he was asking right away, what are the places where you can find these infrastructure projects? Simply as asked. It seems that it is a fact-based question, but a lot of groundwork has happened in the background. He was focusing on infrastructure sector here. That is the inference we have to take. National infrastructure development. So that is national news, you can say. So next final theme that we are coming across now is important buzzwords or terminologies that we normally overlook. You can consider them as miscellaneous part that we generally overlook. Every magazine, you go to the magazines, you have the newspaper, although newspaper doesn't have that dimension called as miscellaneous. Every coaching institute magazine has this miscellaneous content. And in this miscellaneous content, even in the miscellaneous content also, these kind of initiatives across the globe are not normally mentioned. So those miscellaneous aspect is picking on. The question is on 100 million farmers. This can be considered as related to agriculture. Okay, so important term at that point of time, 100 million farmers, and he has asked a question right away, a direct question without any nonsense, without any confusion. Yes, right away, direct question was asked on the terminology that was in use. It can be proved with many other examples also. In the upcoming PYQs decoding session, we'll be doing that as well. So themes, what are the broad themes I'm trying to analyze here? Next is art and culture. Right away, Shantiniketan was identified as part of UNESCO, and he has asked a question on this theme, art and culture and current affairs connect. Okay, Shantiniketan, when was it established historically? What is the reason why it was established? Where it was established? On the basis of what it was established? What is the motto why it was established? These were the themes he was focusing on. So major 5-6 provisions he was focusing on. He was not going beyond beyond some aspects of the important provisions. So understood? How many themes we have come across? Some 7-8 themes we are able to find. So if you go to the PYQs of 21, 20, 2019 like that, one or the other way, you can fix this framework that the questions are repeated specifically from this pure part of current affairs from these 8 to 9 themes. You can find out some more, when you segregate, you may find out some more, that is 2-3 themes extra based on your approach to the current affairs. So beyond that, you don't find much themes. He has been repeating questions on the themes that we have tried to find out now. Okay, so that is the pure part of current affairs and themes. Okay, now coming to the second dimension, how to approach and study. As we have come to know how UPSC has been asking questions while going through the sources. What should be sources for us? What are your sources? Initially, in the initial days of preparation, we were suggested to go through the newspaper. But what has happened to the newspaper reading habit of aspirants nowadays? Nobody is going through the newspaper. Everybody is overburdened with the content. A lot of content is available, and from the corners we are getting these suggestions that there is no need to go through the newspaper just because we have got a lot of content which is very much readily available. A lot of ready-made notes is available. What is the reason why we need to go through the newspaper? So that was an important question we need to solve. Whether we should go through the newspapers or ready-made coaching material, notes or material. This is important. Okay. So we have to fix ourselves to the framework initially and follow that framework based on our capacities. That is what is needed. We should not continuously keep on strategizing whether to go through the newspaper or go through the magazine. We cannot continuously strategize and think upon it. Once for all, we have to fix to this framework whether we are going through the newspaper or magazine, or is there any alternative that we can come up with respect to this. We'll find out some strategies. We'll go through some strategies how I found out some strategies and we can go through these strategies. Current affairs orientation regarding these strategies. For example, as of now, as I told you, 50 to 60 questions, increasing importance for the current affairs in the exam. And it is inevitable that the aspirants have to focus on current affairs dimension. They need to maintain a connect between prelims and mains part also. Okay, mains and prelims integration is also important. So whatever we are reading for current affairs, it is useful for mains part also. So preparation, current affairs preparation, is it easy or difficult is the question. So finding themes makes it easy. If you are going to the newspaper without any pre-strategized mindset or pre-strategized framework, it becomes difficult. So it is easy when you are having one framework which is already there in your mind, and you eliminate unnecessary content. Whichever content is available, it is unnecessary. You find unnecessary content, you completely right away eliminate it. Okay, so with the strategy it becomes easy. So what are the challenges that aspirants are facing? Current affairs and static component are different, and what is the relevance for this exam? In order to find out, initial question that comes into our mind, how to find out the difference between static and current affairs component. Okay, how to find out? Initial days, the preparation is not completed, the content and knowledge is not consolidated, you are unable to differentiate between current affairs component and what is important for current affairs, what is important for static dimension. How to differentiate between current affairs and the static portion? That is one question we come across. Next is, what are the topics that we need to choose? Because if at all we are not coming up with this idea of what topics to be chosen, that becomes difficult to pick up the topics. That is the reason why theme-based solution is one solution that we can come across, we can use to solve this question. So you have themes, pick up those topics, go through them regularly, revise them and fix them in your mind. That is the solution. Next is, what sources to follow? Multiple sources today we have. What are the sources? Newspaper, magazines, both government magazines and the coaching magazines. We have Kurukshetra, Yojana. Besides that, we have other sources like videos, current affairs videos. Besides that, we can also follow audio material which is available, whether it is government debates or something like that, whether you are going through Sansad TV or something like that. So multiple sources are available. Most of the aspirants are confining themselves to these two sources, either newspaper or current affairs coaching magazine. Next, how to read these sources? There should be some strategy how to read these sources. It is not that right away we go to the newspaper and we forget everything we read after 1 week or 1 month. That should not be the strategy. A serious aspirant needs to have one systematic strategy, systematic approach is necessary. That is the fundamental question we need to solve here. Next, note making. Is it necessary? These are the FAQs or frequently asked questions. All the aspirants keep on asking me these sort of questions. Note making. Is it necessary that we have to make notes for current affairs? If at all we are making a note, how we should make that note and what is the use? Use is obviously revision. Multiple revisions of the notes you are making. Obviously, you make your notes in a comprehensive manner. While making a notes, you might have got foundation knowledge and also you have tried to explore that through the internet as well. You have added to the information you have. So it gives you first-hand information and it is completely fixed in your mind. It will be staying longer in your mind. So note making obviously is one solution. We will find out in the upcoming slides. How to revise the bulk of the current affairs content, because if you are coming to this scenario of 60 to 50 days before the exam, what is the sources we have for revising this bulky matter of current affairs we have prepared, whether through current affairs magazine or current affairs notes we are making. It is very challenging when we come across these 30 days or 50 days just before the exam and finally we give up of not at all reading the current affairs. We right away go through the exam and the end result, obviously end result will be failure in the exam. Next, so how to revise the book? Obviously, target of every aspirant. Right strategy is needed. Right strategy with right sources. You can overcome these challenges that we have seen now. 7 to 8 questions we have tried to explore. Right strategy and right notes is necessary. Second dimension is right note making is also important. We should eliminate all unnecessary content based on the themes we have explored and how UPSC is posing questions in the form of statements. In the statements, what dimensions he is asking us, that should be added as part of the note making. Okay, while regularly going through the current affairs and attending these sessions, you get to know the strategy. After that, you go home and try to find out the PYQs and analyze whether the PYQs are in the same thematic approach or not. Then you will understand what should be added as part of our notes, what should be eliminated. Okay, practicing questions, obviously this should be given paramount importance. Even after learning from the newspaper or other magazines, if you are not at all practicing, familiarity with solving MCQs becomes difficult, and MCQs have to be done like a marathon. Okay, practicing has to be done on a daily basis. So we have completed this PYQ theme based approach. We have completed themes. Now coming to the strategies, how to go through the newspaper, the sources. My focus now is on the sources. Okay, you might have lot of sources. Initially we will have one strategy. Two strategies are available with me. First strategy is, our first source will be primary source, that is raw materials. The sources might be, first source is primary resources like newspapers or government websites, like the government websites of Environment Minister for Environment, or PIB. You have PIB, Press Information Bureau, or other sources like PRS, Legislative Research, where we have first-hand information about the bills. On the other hand, newspaper. Coming to the newspaper, multiple newspapers we have. Whether to go for the Hindu, or to go for this Indian Express, or to go for this the Live Mint, or to Business Standard. A slew of newspapers, a lot of newspapers we are having. But I say that we should confine ourselves to one newspaper. We should not feel that we are missing out on something. One or the other way will get repeated, and if at all you are feeling that you are having this FOMO, that is fear of missing out, we will have one solution for that also. In the upcoming slides, we'll get to know what is the solution for this challenge, fear of missing out. So second source we have is magazines. Magazines can be ready coaching material which have some advantages and disadvantages as well, or government magazines which are necessary for some dimensions. If at all a magazine on the initiatives of Government of India to fight climate change, if at all such kind of magazines are released, theme based magazine, that magazine will go through. Okay, other magazines which are irrelevant, for example Kurukshetra always focuses on agriculture, rural development continuously. All of them are unimportant. Some are important, we'll go through them, we'll make a note, we'll try to revise it. There are a lot of episodes where UPSC was focusing specifically on the initiatives of rural development. In that context, they become important. Beyond that, it is unnecessary for us to focus on. So next is choosing the sources. I have, as I told you, I have to these three strategies. One is you keep your newspaper as a primary source. Secondary source would be your coaching magazines. Primary source would be your newspaper, and you will be making some notes through internet research. First hand information you will have. You go through the article, you will try to analyze content over there, comprehend it, and you will try to use internet also, write a comprehensive note about it, short note about it. Okay, that is one strategy. Finally, you will be making an addition to this strategy of making your newspaper as a primary source, plus you are adding that with the magazines that you are getting on a monthly basis. You will try to make an addition with the monthly magazines if at all you are missing on some content from the newspapers. So what is the advantage of this strategy? There are some advantages. Second way is you keep your magazine as primary source. You keep your newspaper as the secondary source. You focus completely on the primary source as magazine. Every month you get the magazine, and you go through the magazine, you make additions from the newspaper, some articles you feel you are missing out. Okay, any newspaper that might be. Finally, note making and using internet are common for these two strategies. Other strategy is you might go through some current affairs videos, and this is specifically for those aspirants who are starting their preparation. It is not for everyone. Going through the current affairs videos takes a lot of time, and aspirants who are in the middle of their preparation and those who are completing their syllabus, obviously this is not the right strategy. Only those videos which are giving us some useful content we can go through. Okay, and newspaper plus notes, which is common for all the three strategies we have mentioned. So while going through every strategy, what are the advantages we can have, and who can choose this strategy is important. This can solve all the problems that we are coming across on a daily basis. If at all I go to the first strategy, where I keep the newspaper as the primary source And second would be, I will be making additions from magazines, plus I will be having one short note. Okay, what are the advantages with this? While going through the articles and the editorials, you will have comprehensive and rigorous reading. It will develop an aspirant completely from the scratch, where you have rigorous reading, you have your own perspective, you know the linkages, back end and front end linkages, because if you are going to the newspaper on a daily basis, the articles get repeated on a regular basis from one day. And I mean, for the example, you might have studied about Indo-China on one day. Next day, it would not be the same. You know some information on Indo-China, the article can be completed very easily. Or you might have studied about green hydrogen. Next day, it would not be the same. Obviously, it becomes easy the next day. So consolidation will happen because of this, because you yourself are going through this newspaper and you are making a note out of that. Finally, it is also useful for, if at all we are thinking about mains at a later date, it is very much useful in the context of writing mains answers, because you will develop the terminology, orientation, how the examiner is thinking, how the question framer is trying to think. Okay, this is one advantage we have. What are the disadvantages of this? It takes a lot of time. It is not easy. In the initial days, you might use this strategy. It is time taking, takes a lot of time, and other thing is more efforts are needed for consolidating the content you have written, because in the initial days, we might not know what should be left out. The question is not about what to focus on. The question is about what to be left out. So more efforts are needed to understand that it might take a lot of time also, sometimes 3-4 months, to differentiate what is important, what is unimportant. These are the disadvantages we are having. And it can be used by the aspirants, those who have a lot of time, initial days of preparation, now we can say. Okay, so new students, fast readers who can go to the newspaper, all those students who are in the middle of their preparation or completed their preparation, but we have to keep that condition in mind. Fast readers who can go through the content very easily in a faster manner, they can make a note also within that 1.5-2 hours time period. Okay, now you understood for which kind of student it is a best strategy. Next, second strategy, you keep your magazine as the primary source. Newspaper will become your secondary source. Besides that, you will focus on your research, plus you make a note which is available for you in your own way. Every student, every aspirant have different ways of making notes. Some students might use flowcharts, some students might write a very short running note. Different sorts of strategies are there personally with every student. So what are the advantages of this particular strategy? One advantage we have is consolidated information in the magazine is already available. There is no need for you to focus on multiple dimensions and go through the internet to consolidate information on particular topic within a framework. And the time taken is also very less, because readily content is available and crisp manner it is available. The content is organized. On the other hand, faster completion if at all you are reading one particular dimension of one particular concept or one particular news article. Okay, these are the advantages with this. On the other hand, what disadvantages we have? You might not get to know what is the background, because you are not coming up with any personal effort here. All the effort the magazine owner has done. The institute, coaching institution has already done that. So there is no incentive here. You are not going through this on your own. You are not developing this aptitude of questioning what is happening and writing answers to that. Whereas in the first strategy we have understood, while going through the article itself, you will question what is happening and you will find answers by yourself. You will frame opinions also. You will have consolidated background information also. Whereas here, you will lose that idea of having background information. You don't have any connection, linkages. It is like what? It is directly objective kind of understanding of that particular concept or article. Other aspect is understanding becomes difficult. At a later date, if at all you have to revise this concept, there is no guarantee that it will be completely inside your mind. You might lose that. You might not memorize that, because it is completely information and factual information and knowledge. It is not easy to remember that without any linkages or background information. On the other hand, revision and recollection also is difficult. The reason I told you already. Revision and recollection, it is not easy if you are not coming up with regular revisions, weekly basis or 4-5 days regularly. Okay, so these are the disadvantages. Who can go for this sort of strategy? those individuals, those aspirants who have completed their understanding of the newspaper. In the initial days, they have mastered the newspaper, able to comprehend the articles, they know what happens with the newspaper. Those aspirants who know that continuously articles get repeated and there is no need to go through every article on a daily basis, those aspirants then can subscribe to this strategy of keeping their magazine as the primary source, then make additions from the newspaper regularly because they know what is being missed out, what is important, what is unimportant. They might have come to know already. In that context, those who know current affairs very well, on the other hand, those who have completed preparation and it is 4-5 months away, exam is 4-5 months away. In that context, I don't suggest you to go to the newspaper. I mean, you can go to the newspaper consolidatedly in a regular basis of 3 days. 3 days gap you can go through and consolidate the information. Whichever is not repeated, you can go through that. Repetitive, you can eliminate. Okay, those who know current affairs very well, who need guidance, those who need guidance in the initial days of preparation, we need some sort of guidance. While going to the magazines, we'll get to know what should be given importance, because magazines give importance to those elements which are important for the exam, in the context of the exam. So it will give us some sort of guidance because the content is very well organized and it is easy to read and omit some dimensions. From this we can copy the same. While going to the newspaper, then you will develop an aptitude so that we can delineate what is important, what is unimportant in the newspaper. This will help the new aspirant also in one dimension. Finally, what is the other aspect we have to come across? That is practicing the questions after choosing one among these strategies. Either you should go to the first strategy or you have to confine yourself to the second strategy. Besides that, you have to make an addition, that is practicing current affairs based questions. Either it might be pure current affairs based questions or static linkage dimension of the current affairs on a regular basis. It might be 2 days, once in 2 days, or you might take it 3 days, once in 3 days. Okay. Other aspect, when to read them. Is it necessary that I have to go to the newspaper on a daily basis, or I can go through these newspapers in a regular interval of 3 to 4 days? Is that possible? If that is a frequently asked question, so daily reading magazines has some advantages. One dimension is you can go to the newspaper on a daily basis. But is it sufficient? If that is the question, we have answers for them. So if at all you are choosing the strategy of going to the content on a daily basis, what advantages we have? You can connect with the concepts which are appearing again and again. You maintain a connection between what is happening in and around you through the newspapers, whether it is current events of national importance or current events of international importance. Whatever it might be, you can maintain a regular connectivity with the subject, whether it is static component or pure current affairs based content. Next, what are the disadvantages you have? Preparation is segregated because you are continuously on a daily basis. You are planning a day, and in that day you are studying 4 or 5 components. You are studying history, you are going through geography, you might go through CSAT or something else, and it becomes difficult to manage all these dimensions. If you are adding 1.5 or 2 hours to the current affairs newspaper on a daily basis, it becomes difficult to manage all these things. So that is one challenge we have. So consolidation, segregation of preparation. On one day you might not have completed newspaper. There is no continuity. So it is one challenge. Next is revision is not possible because after completion of the newspaper for 1.5 hours, you might be making a note for 1 hour, even 45 minutes, let us say. Then that becomes difficult to manage all the subjects that you have planned for that day or a week. Third dimension is efficiency cannot be gained because you are already mugged up with a lot of topics and you are ending up with not at all revising. Efficiency cannot be possible here. And repetition of articles. Every day articles are repeating. Normally we are enticed to go to the newspaper to find out what is new in that news article. Okay, we normally go to the newspaper wasting a lot of time. Efficiency gains, we lose this efficiency gain by repetitive articles. If at all you segregate the articles on a weekly basis, hardly there are some 10 articles which are important for the exam perspective, from the exam perspective. Beyond that, it is unnecessary. So that is the first strategy. Obviously, you go through the daily reading of newspaper. Second strategy is much more effective. If at all you are way ahead of others, if at all you want to be way ahead of others, or you are in the middle of your preparation or completed your preparation, you can subscribe to this strategy. Twice a week or thrice a week, if at all you go through the newspaper revision. once in 3 days. That is one strategy. For example, you consolidate all the information which is coming in Monday and Tuesday. On Monday and Tuesday, you try to give 3 to 4 hours on Wednesday, and without any repetition, you go through those articles which are important for the exam, necessary for the exam, you can say. Okay, 3-day stretch. Every 3 days, continuously you keep on amalgamating and consolidating the information. You confine your time to 4 hours. I mean, let us say 4 hours, 3 days. It means every week you will be spending some 8 hours. If at all I am reading every day I am spending 2.5 hours, 2 hours like that. If I count that to week, it might be some 12 to 14 hours. Here it is only 8 hours or even less, because I am focusing on the third day on important info. On the Saturday, obviously, I'll be focusing on important info. If at all I want to revise, I will have much more time for revision also in this second strategy. Okay, so 14 to 18 hours it can be reduced. Efficiency gains can be, we can realize those efficiency gains. With addition, we can also make additions, because a lot of time is available. We can go through the other sources, diversify our sources, so that we don't feel missing out. For example, if you want to go through All India Radio or Sansad TV, or there is an article in India Today, or there is an article called as Explained in Indian Express, or some newspapers like Indian Express are coming up with this UPSC Essentials. You find one article and you are having this enthusiasm to read that article. In that context, it becomes easy for you to go through those areas which you feel are missing out in this through this second strategy. So this strategy doesn't have much disadvantages, because it is very much organized strategy. If at all you are regularly following it without making any mistake. Okay, if you are fixing your preparation strategy to the second strategy, obviously it will give you efficiency gains in the long run. In the next, you have to implement this at least for 1 month, the first and second strategy, and find out for yourself. So you will be the best judge for yourself. You should be the best judge. Obviously, go through first and second strategy, find out which is working for you, and then you can choose, obviously. And this has to be continued. It is not that every month we try to revise. We have to have revision plan for weekly basis. If at all you are comfortable with weekly revision, after that you can continue that for 4 weeks, and finally you will have one monthly revision of the current affairs also. Because current affairs can make you or break you in the exam. Prelims is the only way we can enter mains examination. There is no other alternate. We have to definitely crack that. So twice a week you go for revision, or once a week based on your capability you can go with the revision. So coming to the revision, what is the use of revision? Consolidation, understanding of all the topics that we have learnt on a daily basis or regular basis. What is the mistake that we are doing? Obviously the mistake is non-revision at all, not revising, continuously reading content, amassing lot of content as wealth, but we are not at all revising it. Okay, instead of doing this, at least we confine ourselves to one framework and give time to revision of 2-3 times, at least in the interval of 2 weeks a time. Once in 2 weeks we revise the content. If we fix that in our mind, in the framework, obviously we can overcome this challenge of not revising things, which will keep ourselves in the, we will not be ahead in the preparation. So you have, obviously based on this, you will be scheduling your study plan, because it becomes easy when you have the goal in your mind. On the other hand, end of every session on a day, planning a day, end of the session, you will be giving end of the session 1 hour before you end your session. Obviously you will be giving that to revision of current affairs and connecting them to the concepts you have learned in the classroom, or static concepts you have already learned. Next, weekly revision or monthly revision. You choose one among them. If you are comfortable with weekly revision and you feel that weekly revision is necessary, yes, it is necessary for some aspirants, or go through a 2-week revision process. 2-week revision means you will be revising twice every month. All the content you have already written as a note, or as I told you, the strategy would be magazine, or you keep the primary source or magazine as second source, primary source as magazine and secondary source as newspaper, or vice versa, whatever it might be, reverse of that. Okay, so 2 phases after rigorous study of current affairs. One is phase 1, initially we have gone through phase 1. Second is add-on. All those who have completed, either chosen first strategy and second strategy, they might have completed this phase 1 in the rigorous preparation. Phase 1 means you might have already completed, you might have chosen one strategy of the strategies we have discussed, making your first primary source as newspaper, other alternative source as magazine. That is one strategy. Second is making your Newspaper as the primary source and magazine as alternate, whatever it might be. After completing that for at least 1-2 months, then you come to this stage called as phase 2. Phase 2, we keep on adding the content. That missing content we feel as missing. Add-ons, research work, faster, reading fast in a faster manner, not like a novice. We learn to develop the strategy of reading in a faster manner. Those important concepts we have identified. Reading between the lines is the strategy here. Regular revisions will happen continuously because we will have lot of time because of this. As I told you, time consumption will be reduced significantly. You will have lot of time for revision till the completion of the exams, and you can leave the newspaper also at this point of time. And we will get some sort of freedom. There is no necessary to go to the newspaper on a daily basis. At least 2-3 days in an interval of 2 to 3 days or 4 days, you can go to the newspaper. Finally leaving newspaper, just let us say 1 month before the exam or 40 days before the exam, you can do that. Okay, only with some security in the background. We can follow either of these two strategies to give one solution to the challenge that all the aspirants are facing, how to access and read the current affairs portion for the exam. Okay, so it is not that you keep on brainstorming about how to approach current affairs and lose all the time on this brainstorming itself. No, that should not be the strategy. So right aspirant needs right strategy, right approach plus right source. Okay, so these are the 3 dimensions we need to focus on if at all you want to approach current affairs and solve this riddle that we are having with respect to approaching current affairs. Okay, so that it will not continuously burden us. There will not be any bulky material just before 50 days of the exam or 30 days before the exam. We will have segregated content which is very much revisable and which is already revised by us. And we are very much confident. With confidence, remember, at least you can make 4 to 5 questions correct. Confidence makes a lot of difference in the exam environment. It is, if I have to give priority to anything in the exam hall, obviously confidence should be given priority. With confidence, obviously, you can solve those questions which you have not come across in the preparation. Very confidently, you can approach them and solve them with logic or option elimination or some other techniques we have for solving the questions. Those we don't know at all completely. Okay, so confidence has that much advantage by going through this strategy and implementing it rigorously. Obviously, you will have efficiency gains in the long run until you see your name in the final list. Okay. So this is what I want to share with you with respect to the current affairs strategy, right? Anything you want to ask me? So in the upcoming PYQ session, as you have attended this strategy sessions, please attend the PYQ decoding sessions also. With this, we have completed the strategic roadmap for UPSC Prelims 2025, and we will be launching in the next 1.5 week the PYQ decoding session. With that, we will be launching one program, that is UPSC Prelims test series and mentorship sessions also, so that you can at least, most of the students among you will be successful in the prelims UPSC Prelims 2025. That is the strategy we have for you in the next upcoming 4 to 5 months before the exam, right? So if at all you have anything to ask, please, you can ask me. Or else I'll wind up the session for here today. We'll meet in the PYQ's decode session. Okay? Thank you, everyone.